Welcome to the Healthpreneur Podcast. My name is Uriel Kame, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. Today, I've got a really cool topic to chat with you about, and it all has to do with risk, client-funded acquisition, and why I love AMEX. I've got my iPad out. I'm going to draw a couple things for you. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you might not be able to see it, so you may want to hop on over to YouTube to check out this episode. Anyways, if you're in the group, say what's up, drop me a comment, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. So one of the biggest, I've talked about this a lot, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this, that if you want to succeed in business in 2019 and beyond, you have to pay to play. Now, one of the biggest objections with that is people thinking that, well, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough of a budget to put into Facebook ads to grow my business, right, to attract clients. So what I want to do in this video, in this episode, is really debunk that idea. And so I'm going to share this on my screen, and hopefully you can see this. So I want to share this idea of client-funded acquisition, CFA. Actually, that's funny because that's Canadian Flight Academy, which is the school that I got my pilot's license through years ago. Anyways, so here's what happens is we have a starting point, which is here, and we want to get somewhere over here, okay? Now, if you think about this, what's up, Tina? Good to see you. If you think about this, just let's backtrack for a second, okay? So let's look at the American dream, which is human wants to buy, that's supposed to be a house. I don't know what the heck that is. So human wants to buy a house. That's the American dream. Whether or not you believe in, owning your own property is up to you. That's cool. But typically, this is what a lot of people think of as, okay, I'm going to buy a home because when I do, I'm going to have security and whatever else. Cool? And it's a good asset, whatever. Okay, so, I don't really know I don't know anyone really who's paid 100% cash to buy a home. Because it actually doesn't make sense, because the bank is going to give you this incredible loan at a really low interest rate when you think about it, maybe 3-4%. And they're going to allow you to borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to mortgage the home, right? So what you're doing here is you're using other people's money, OPM, the bank's money. So essentially, in most cases, you're going to put down 20% down, and then the rest of it, so 80% is financed by the bank. So when we look at buying a house, that's typically the way we think. We're not thinking, okay, I've got if you live in Toronto, the average price of a home is $1 million. So most people aren't thinking to themselves, I'm only going to buy a home when I have a briefcase of $1 million. That's really not the way most people think. So let's come back to our business for a second and ask ourselves, well, why do we think like that when it comes to our business? Just think about that for a second. If you think you need 100% of your money before you can go out and spend money to attract clients, that's the same thing as saying, I'm going to wait until I have all the money to buy a house. Like 100% of it, not 20% and then mortgage. And that's a reason, hopefully this mindset gives you thinking a little bit differently, because if you have that belief, then you're always going to be slowed in your growth. And I think part of this comes down to risk tolerance, which I think is an important trait of any successful entrepreneur. And the other thing is belief and faith. So belief in yourself and faith that what you're doing is going to work. So let's look at client-funded acquisition for a second and why I love Amex and why you should too. And specifically Amex as opposed to Visa or MasterCard. And I'll tell you why. So I'm going to just move this down off the page a little bit so it doesn't distract us. Okay, so the cool thing, when I talk about client-funded acquisition, what that means is, let's say you have zero money, which is where all of us start. And this is why you have to have risk tolerance and belief in faith. So you have $0 in your bank account. So you can't actually take any money and put it into Facebook ads. But here's the cool thing. Facebook sets up a payment method, or you set up a payment method with Facebook, which is a credit card, right? So let's just use Amex as an example. So we have an Amex card, which needs to be paid off in about 30 days. Obviously, there's a little bit more of a buffer zone, but let's just call it 30 days. So we have 30 days to borrow money. This is OPM, borrow money from Amex. Amex is saying, hey, you can use this card and spend as much money as you want, within a certain limit, I guess. But you can spend as much money as you want as long as you promise to pay me back in 30 days. Isn't that amazing? Now, obviously, there's a massive debt crisis in the Western world. So I want to clarify that I'm not talking about going to buy some shoes. I'm not talking about consumerism spending. I'm talking about investing in your business. Okay, so we use an Amex, and I say Amex specifically because if you have a Visa or MasterCard, you can let that balance run forever and just pay interest on it. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. I would actually recommend, if you run your own business, you should have an Amex because it's going to discipline you fiscally. Which means, like, I only have an Amex for our business. And I know for myself, I've had MasterCards and Amexes in the past, right, and Visas in the past. And the reason I don't want to get one for our business is because I know my tendency and I know what happens. Hey, great, great news. We've extended your credit to $75,000. And now I'm like, great, I have this much more to spend. And you know what? It's not the worst case if I don't pay it off this month because I'm only going to be paying a couple $100 in interest. But with your Amex, if you don't pay it off, like, you're toast. So there's no wiggle room. And that's a really good, I'm a big believer in forced constraints. If you have forever to pay off a credit card, it's going to take you forever, for the most part, right? It's the, what did I just forget? I just forgot the name of it. Oh my God, I totally forgot the name of this principle, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. Okay, so anyways, we got 30 days to pay off this Amex. So what we do is we have $0 on day one. Okay, so day one, we have no money. So what we do is we use Amex and we say, hey Amex, I'm gonna borrow your money for a bit and I'm gonna put in $20 per day in Facebook ads. And I'm gonna continue doing that and I'm gonna drive people into my PCP, my perfect client pipeline. Now with that, Parkinson's law, thank you Bella, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So with that, $20 a day, again, it's Amex is saying, hey, don't worry man, 30 days, it's all good. So $20 a day, you're spending, and we'll just use the example of 1 month. So you're gonna do this consistently for 30 days. So by day 30, if you spend $20 a day, and this is again just a theoretical example, 20 times 30 is $600. So it's $600 ad spend you spent on your Facebook ads. Okay, so couple scenarios. There's two scenarios that are going to happen here. When you're driving traffic to your perfect client pipeline, assuming you understand your numbers and things look good, one of two things is going to happen. So scenario one is nobody enrolls and you make no money. Scenario two is a client enrolls and you make money. Those are the only two things that can happen. Either no one enrolls or someone does enroll, okay? That's it, it's black or white. Now, in our worlds, we highly encourage you to be selling your expertise in coaching at a higher price point. So typically, between 2 to 5K to transform someone's life. I think that's a pretty decent trade-off, right? So if you think about this, If you spend $600, so let's do this. So we spend $600 on ads, and let's say we enroll just one client. And let's just say that one client is $2,000. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us with a net positive of $1,400. All right, so now 30 days is up. And again, I don't know when this client enrolled. Maybe it was on day 2, maybe it was on day 25. It doesn't matter. So 30 days is up and your AMEX bill is due. All right, no problem. You owe AMEX $600. You brought in $2,000, so you give AMEX $600, and now you have $1,400 over in profit. Does that make sense? Do you see it? Do you see why this is the way you have to build your business? And this is why it also requires risk tolerance and belief in faith. Because a couple things can go wrong here. Number one is, well, what happens if you don't enroll anyone? And let's use the example of that. So I'm going to just erase this. So if you have $600 spend and nobody enrolls, you make $0. And so what happens here is that you're in the hole $600. Okay, so if you have an Amex and you have no other way of covering that Amex, you're out $600. And that's a bit of a tricky situation with Amex. So to be on the safe side, I would actually recommend starting with a Visa or MasterCard. Because if you have a $600 balance that's due on a Visa, it doesn't have to be paid off right away. So typically, depending on the card, it's going to be about 9 to 20% of interest. So let's just say the high end, 20%, it's going to cost you, I think, $120 in interest. Okay, so at the end of the month, you can't pay it off. You're paying $720 whenever you have to pay it off, right? Now, the whole time, you're continuing to run your ads because you have belief and faith in yourself that you just need one person to say yes, because all of a sudden, you wipe out that debt in a flash. But the reason that a lot of people don't do this is because they have very, very low risk tolerance and very, very low belief or faith in themselves and their business model. All right, and this is why what we teach is very important. Because listen, I'm not saying do this stuff. We actually just had a person speak to us yesterday, and Phyllis was telling me that she spent like 10 grand on a coach who's teaching her blogging. Like, oh my God, please God save this person, right? $10,000 on blogging is a terrible plan, right? You're never going to see this type of return with a blog. And I've done this. Listen, my blog gets it was 1.4 million visitors a month earlier this year. Now it's down to 330,000. It's crazy. You just take the focus off that and it's done. Anyways, you put that type of money into acquiring your own clients, and now you've complete control over the outcome. Assuming you're driving the right people into the right pipeline, so you've got the right plan. And then number 2 is you are okay running a balance. And guys, this is where the rubber meets the road as an entrepreneur. You have to be okay with risk. If you think of airlines, do any airlines, and I don't think the answer to this is yes, is there an airline in the world that has ever started and bought all of their planes with cash? Hey, here's a briefcase of hundreds of billions of dollars for this entire fleet of aircraft. No, they don't, right? What do? They get a loan, they get creditors, they get angel investors, whatever, some type of financial backing, other people's money, where they can get started to buy a plane that's $24 million with a fraction of that, and they finance the rest of it for a number of years. Or how about restaurateurs? You start a restaurant, let's say you buy the lease, or you get the spot, the lease, all the equipment. Let's say the whole thing is $500,000. Do most people have $500,000 in a briefcase? Here you go, let's start the restaurant? No. What do? They go to the bank and they say, hey, listen, I'm starting this restaurant. Here's the real estate as collateral, and I need whatever money I can to float this thing. So you have to initially start with nothing. And the beautiful thing about that is it puts you on the hook to make amazing things happen. See, I think it's actually it's a gift to start with nothing and to run things on credit if you're investing in yourself and your business, because it forces you to be innovative, it forces you to be creative, and it forces you to be resourceful. If Daddy gave you $1 million to start your business, I promise you, you would blow it in no time on stupid stuff. Oh, let's blog. Let's $50,000 a month on this, on SEO, and we'll do we'll pay someone else to buy us a bunch of followers on Instagram. You see, like that's why a lot of companies in the world of Silicon Valley are very different than what we're doing, because they have $5-10 million backing right from the get-go. So they buy the ping pong tables, they buy the comfy couches, they have massage therapists on staff for their people, right? But a lot of it is very wasteful. The beautiful thing about having your own business and bootstrapping is you have to figure out ways to make this work. And I'm telling you, like, you should be praising the credit card companies, because they are giving you free, literally free money. They're saying, listen, use us for a certain amount of time, and you just pay us back in 30 days, or if you don't, then we'll just add on a bit of interest. Like, if you think about it, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Now, obviously, there's another way of looking at credit as being the devil, and it can be if we're doing things that are very consumeristic based. But I promise you, if you invest in your business doing the right things, like one of the best things you can do in your business is learn how to buy clients. That's essentially what we're doing, is we're paying for clients. And the cool thing, and the reason I call this client-funded acquisition, is that your clients are financing your ability to enroll them in your program, and then to do more and more of that. Now, the one final thing I'll say with this is that there's two ways of doing this, right? So we looked at the example here of $20 a day in 30 days, that's $600, right? Now, what happens if $600 in ad spend is not enough to acquire one client? Well, then you run into a little bit of a pickle, which is like in this case down here, we said, well, you got no clients, no money coming. You've got 600 plus 120 interest that now has to be paid back. So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, which again goes down to risk tolerance, is, hey, I'm going to spend $100 a day. And so in 30 days, your total ad spend is $3,000. Now, but what happens is when you spend more money every day, you get data faster. So instead of it taking 30 days to acquire a client, it might take you 1 week. And now instead of waiting 30 days to pay off your Visa or MasterCard or AMEX, you might have that client in the first week, and then boom, you're good. You can pay that off, reinvest the profits back into more acquisition. I don't really recommend doing it that way because, listen, like, you have to test things out properly. We typically recommend for our clients to start at about $10 to $15 to $20 a day with what they're doing, okay? And that's going to be per ad set. So once you find the winner, though, once you find that winner, and you know this one winner is getting leads coming in, calls are being booked, you have to think to yourself, how quickly can I scale this? And the way I look at this for our business is, if we have a winning campaign, like our ad buyer, he knows I will spend as much money as I humanly can within the confines of our metrics to scale this as fast as possible. Because why would you wait, right? Why would you wait 5 months to go slowly? Like, if you know your numbers and you know if you get people in at this price and you're making this on the back end, you win. So anyways, that is my thoughts on risk, client-funded acquisition, and why I love AMEX. And it doesn't have to be AMEX, but it could be a credit card. And I want you to really think about this, guys. Like, I want you to think of, like, have belief in yourself, have faith in yourself that you will figure things out, that you, again, with the right support, the right environment, it can obviously help even more, but believe in yourselves that you can make this happen. Now, one final thing I'll mention is that if you don't know what you're doing, then please don't do this. Like, that's, I think, the reason why a lot of people don't do this is, number one, they don't know what they're doing. And that's a very good thing, because if you don't know what you're doing with Facebook ads, please don't spend the money, because you're going to be donating to the Mark Zuckerberg Foundation, literally. So you have to know what you're doing. And if you want help to do this properly the right way, then go to workwiththeory.com, answer a few questions to tell us about your business. We'll jump on a call and we'll figure out, hey, can we work together? Can we help you do this based on what you're looking to do in your business? Again, no pressure, but we'll give you a really clear game plan of what to focus on and what to stop doing if you really want to hit the objectives that you've set for yourself. So anyways, that's the deal. Serious entrepreneurs only, right? If you are a health entrepreneur and you are serious about growth and you're tired of the free organic way of doing things, which doesn't really work, then listen, go to workwithgary.com, as I said, book in a call with us, and let's have a chat about how we can possibly help you grow your biz. Cool? Hope this makes sense. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll speak with you soon. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur Podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training. Totally free right now, and you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.